Hello everyone, I will be talking to you today about organizational patterns and the transition words. We're going to start off with the organizational pattern of listing. Um, there are several categories for this particular pattern, and they are random order list, which is consists of simple listing. Then we have order of importance. Then we have chronicle order, sequence and process order, and then placement order. I'm going to go further into detail for you. The chronicle order or time order, it shows how something unfolds over time. So the items listed need to be in this order in order for it to make any sense. The sequence and process order uses steps that need to be followed in a specific order for the results to make sense. For the simple listing, this means that the items could be listed in any particular way and it would still make sense regardless of which way you list it. In the order of importance, this means the items need to be listed in a specific order for in order for it to make sense, basically. Now I'm going to give you some examples of the transition words for all of these. Most of them are going to sound really similar. Some of them, for example, for the simple listing, you have also, another, in addition, first, second, third, fourth, and for example. The order of importance, you have most important, finally, and primarily. For the chronicle order listing, you have first, second, third, next, then, after, later, datas or dates. Then you have after and afterwards. Then you also have the sequence or process order. Excuse me, which is first, second, next, then, after, later, finally, followed by steps or strategies. Like I said before, most of these you always hear like first, second, third, or fourth, so you have to really be careful and look for other words to determine which pattern that it is. Then you have the place order, and the place order goes from the left to the right, upwards, downwards, north, east, south, west. Now, this particular one is usually used when you're giving directions or if you're reading a map, that they will use the place order. Next off, we have the pattern to explain. Now, this is three different categories for the pattern that explain, and they are as follows: example, illustration, or clarification. Then you have definition and example, and then you have description. Now, the example and illustration, or also known as classification, is when the writer makes a point, usually like a complex point or something. Then we have the definition and example, which is used in contents tense. It's usually when you have like other complicated ideas that you will see that this particular one is used. Next off, we have description. The description one is kind of easy to determine because the description is when the writer is trying to describe a person, place, or thing. Next, I'm going to give you some transition words so you can try to identify what's what. So we're going to start off with the example and illustration one, or clarification one. And some of the transition words are as follows. For example, to illustrate, of course; to clarify, for instance; in other words, that is to say, and to put in another way. For the definition and example, this one gets a little tricky. Some of the transition words for this is is defined as, is known as, means, is any dashes, commas, or any type of parentheses. And then the descriptions, which is for me is kind of easy to determine, is any adjective that describes a person, place, or thing, or any type of feeling. For instance, nice, colorful, misty, gloomy, rainy, sad, happy, any description that gives you a visual picture of what the writer or author is trying to say. Next we're going to do the pattern to analyze. This one has 4 different categories in it. The first one is division or classification, cause and effect, problem and or solution, and compare and contrast. Excuse me. And for the division and classification patterns, they're used when specifically dealing with difficult concepts, and when they're trying to break that down into categories, that you will see this. They're mainly used in college textbooks. The cause and effects are patterns that shows causes of situations or effects, or sometimes they may have both. So you have to really pay attention to the words. The comparison and contrast, they're patterns that show similarizations or similarities between the two. Between the two concepts, or if you have like many ideas or something like that, you'll see that being used. And then the problem and solution is a pattern that focuses on problems that lead to a solution. Now, a lot of people will get the problem and solution and the cause and effect mixed up. So I suggest that you pay really close attention to the transition words that I'm going to give you. Well, some of the example transition words that I'm about to give you for each one. For the division and classification, you have 2 or more types, groups classified as classes, category, kinds of, types of, and categorized by. Excuse me, for some reason I'm stuttering. For the causes, you have is caused by, for the reason, because, due to, being that, in that, as much as, since, and that is why. Now for the comparison, you have likewise, like, similar to, similarity, in the same way, equally, by the same token, in like manner, and in common. For the concept, some of the transition words are however, but, in contrast, on the other hand, although, nevertheless, yet, while, still, through, otherwise, if not, neither, some people, and or other. Then for the effect, you have the effect is, which of course, consequently, as the result, results in, leads to, thus, as a consequence, hence, so, accordingly, therefore, for this reason, or for this, or for that reason. The problem and solution, the problem is, can be solved by, the solution is. So once again, the transition words that I gave you are just some examples that you may find when you're reading. The only thing I could say is be really careful when you have to look for these particular words so you can determine what the author is trying to say and what kind of pattern the author is using. I hope this video helps. Thank you for watching and have a great day.